Hey, welcome! Today we're diving into a system that is so powerful it can turn a totally chaotic workplace into one that practically screams the moment something goes wrong. We're going to show you how to build a space where problems have absolutely nowhere to hide. This quote right here just nails the core issue, doesn't it? We're going to break down exactly how you can create a workplace where you understand the entire situation in seconds. No more chasing down supervisors or digging through a pile of outdated reports. So, what does a failing system actually look and feel like on the ground? Let's step into two completely different worlds to really see the contrast for ourselves.
So on one side, you've got the chaotic plant. You know the one. Peeling floor tape, tools scattered everywhere, and a production board that still has last Tuesday's numbers on it. To figure out if you're winning or losing, you've got to track somebody down. But now picture the visual factory. In less than 30 seconds, you can see the plan for the day, you can spot any bottlenecks, you know exactly what the inventory levels are, all without saying a single word. That kind of clarity, that's what we're aiming for.
Okay, so the engine that drives this whole transformation is a system called 5S. But before we even get into it, we have got to shatter the one myth that costs companies millions and millions of dollars. Let's be perfectly clear about this. 5S is not about sweeping the floors to impress clients on a tour. It is a rigorous, hard-nosed system for finding and eliminating waste, and it directly protects your bottom line. The whole system is built on 5 pillars, or S's, and they build on each other in a really specific logical order. So let's start with the first 3 foundational steps that create that huge initial visual change. First up, we sort, and this is a pretty ruthless process of clearing out absolutely everything you don't need. Next, we set in order, which means creating a logical, permanent home for everything that's left. And finally, we shine. And as you're about to see, this is where the real magic happens, and it goes way, way beyond just cleaning. You know, the genius of the sort step is how it deals with that "I'm not sure" pile. It's called the red tag method. If you're on the fence about an item, you slap a tag on it with today's date and move it to a special holding area. If nobody touches it for 30 days, it's gone. No debate. This doesn't just clear up space, it stops people from wasting precious time digging through the same clutter day after day. All right, now for set in order. Once you've gotten rid of all the junk, every single item that remains gets a designated home based on how often you use it. And the impact here, it's just staggering. Get this. Say an operator uses a specific tool 400 times a shift. Moving that tool just 2 steps closer saves them 800 steps every single day. That's not just tidying up. That is a direct, measurable boost to productivity. And the third step, shine. This is where that whole housekeeping myth really just dies for good. In a true 5S system, cleaning is inspection. It has to be. When an operator is wiping down their own machine, they become the first line of defense. They're going to be the one to spot that tiny oil leak, that loose fastener, or that fraying belt long before it causes a catastrophic breakdown. Think about it. It's a predictive maintenance program that costs you absolutely nothing extra. Okay, so you've sorted, you've set things in order, and the place is shining. It looks amazing. But how do you keep it that way? Well, that brings us to the final 2 steps, and frankly, they're the most challenging ones. To standardize, you just forget about those dusty 3-inch thick procedure binders that nobody ever reads. The best standard is always a visual one. You take a photograph of the workstation in its absolute perfect set-in-order state, and you post that single page right where the work happens. A photo eliminates all arguments about what right is supposed to look like. And standardization also applies to other visual cues, especially color. When yellow always means a walkway, and red always means non-conforming material, and blue always means work in process, your brain processes the entire environment almost instantly. Any little deviation from that color code immediately jumps out as an abnormality that needs attention right now. And now we get to the final, and by far the toughest, sustain. This is where most of these initiatives just completely fall apart. And why is that? It's because leaders treat it like a one-time project and then they just walk away. To make these changes actually stick, you need structured, regular audits led by managers who have the real authority to enforce the new standards. It's all about building habits, not just having a big cleanup day. And you have to track those audit scores publicly where everyone can see them. Look at this chart. A flat score means your program is stalled out. You're just going through the motions. But a score that is steadily climbing over time, that shows genuine learning, real organizational discipline. That's the goal. That is the difference between temporary compliance and a permanent shift in culture.
So, after all this work, what's the big payoff? Why does all this matter? Well, because a fully implemented 5S system isn't just about looking good, it is a serious investment that pays for itself over and over and over again.
So let's just recap the big wins here. It absolutely slashes the time your employees waste just searching for tools and information. It helps you catch quality defects immediately, right there on the spot, before they multiply and hide in a big batch. And this is a huge one. Because the standard is visual and obvious, it dramatically cuts down the time it takes to get a new hire up to speed.
So, what's your next move? Look, don't try to boil the ocean. Here is your action for tomorrow. Just pick one. One single, notoriously messy workstation. Run a red tag event and just see for yourself how much wasted time and space you can reclaim in a few hours. Start small, prove the concept, get that first win, and then build from there.
Thank you for watching the videos and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the content, ring the bell and like and subscribe. If you want to learn more about operations management, check out the books at the links in the description below.